Mostly clear, light winds tonight, 35 to 42. It'll be in the low 60s Friday, mostly sunny. And Saturday, partly sunny in the mid to upper 60s. Clouds and showers expected Sunday, and the temperature Sunday will be averaging, for the most part, in the mid 60s. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to walk out of talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un if progress is not made on nuclear disarmament. It comes after secret high-level talks between the two countries in Pyongyang. U.S. aviation authorities are preparing to order a check of all plane engines after a mid-air explosion punctured an airline and killed a passenger. And the biennial meeting of the 53 Commonwealth nations begins in London, with ocean conservation, cybersecurity and trade under the spotlight.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. Today is going to be a two-part show, so I hope that you stay tuned and enjoy the conversation. Today, my special guests are Miss Amy and Miss Nancy, and we're going to be talking about alcohol awareness for the month of April. The month of April is Alcohol Awareness Month, and I'm sure that many of you out there have known someone personally or from, through contact with other people, someone who has battled alcohol addiction. And so today we're going to give you a few tips in how to recognize it, how to help this person, and how to stop being an enabler of this individual, and help them get the help that they need. This is a very serious issue, and I know that you're not seeing them, so due to privacy rights, we have to keep their identity concealed. So you get to see me today. Okay, so without further ado, I would like for these ladies to please tell you a little bit more about a program. There are many programs, but Al-Anon is one of the most well-known ones, and so I would like for them to tell you a little bit more about the Al-Anon program. Go ahead.
My name is Nancy, and I started going to Al-Anon when a counselor recommended it to me, and that may be how you find it too. It's a group to support families and friends of alcoholics, and we also have families and friends of drug addicts. What we say is that this is for alcoholics, but we also say that if you come to the meetings and you find that these feelings and these frustrations are similar to you, then you belong. We accept anyone of any race, color, whatever your religious preferences are. We don't talk about religion. We are a spiritual program, so God is not forced down your throat, but we would like for you to try us out. We follow a lot of the same things as AA. We have 12 steps and 12 traditions. We meet as a group. It's kind of like group therapy. You don't have to speak if you don't want to, but we do encourage you to at least come and try us out for 6 times. As far as what to do, as far as enabling, we don't tell you exactly what to do. What we do tell you is to come and focus on yourself, and as you're focusing on yourself and you have support from other members, then you'll see what it is that you need to do. We have what is called a sponsor. That's someone that guides you through the program. We also have we call it service work, where you are involved in district meetings and area meetings, and that also helps to serve you as a member, and also to serve the program. Amy, is there some things you would like to say?
Yes, thank you, Nancy and Kubila. Cubila's going to hold up some of our pamphlets. Al-Anon has been in existence since 1951. Every year, Dear Abby and Ann Landers have put in their column about the Serenity Prayer and how to deal with the alcoholic. As we were talking before the show, one alcoholic can affect up to 40 people, and that's family, it's family and friends, it's their workplace. Alcoholism is a tragic 3-act play in which there are at least 4 characters: the drinker, the family, friends, co-workers, and even counselors who have a part in keeping everything turning. Al-Anon rarely appears in one person set apart from the other. Alcoholism rarely appears in one person set apart from the others. It seldom continues in isolation from others. One person drinks too much and gets drunk, and the others react to his drinking and its consequences. What I learned in Al-Anon when I came in over 20 years ago was that I did not cause this disease, I cannot control it, and I cannot cure it. And that was such a revelation to me, because I had been told that it was all my fault. And the amazing thing I found out I had choices in the program, that I could listen to that insanity and take responsibility for another person's insanity, or through the program I could take care of myself and let them do what they needed to do for themselves, regardless of what happens to them. To me, this is called detachment.
Okay.
And we try to detach with love, not with hate, not with amputation, but through the program we learn how to detach from our sick family member or relative or friend.
Okay. And there is a brochure. Where can someone pick up these different brochures or leaflets if they would like to read more about these different topics?
They can obtain those pamphlets either. They can obtain them online at alanon.org, or else when you come to a meeting, we have those. They're free, and we would love for you to come to a meeting and look at the pamphlets, read the pamphlets, and talk with us.
Okay, and I just want to read this little part on detachment. It says, detachment is neither kind nor unkind. It does not imply judgment or condemnation of the person or situation from which we are detaching. Separating ourselves from the adverse effects of another person's alcoholism can be a means of detaching. This does not necessarily require physical separation. Detachment can help us look at our situations realistically and objectively. Oftentimes, and there's more information on this leaflet. I really would advise you all to go pick it up for yourself. There's a lot of great information. We were talking off air about, we've known people, I've known family members that have had alcohol and other substance abuse issues. And just trying to navigate how you feel about it, trying to help them get the help that they need. It can be a messy, hard
Yes.
situation. Let's talk about how family members, one, can recognize someone who has an alcohol addiction.
Okay, that's a good topic. What I understand is that alcoholism is a disease, and what I know from my experience in Al-Anon is that it's not up to me to determine who's an alcoholic and who's a drug addict. It is up to them themselves. When I interfere and get in the way, then I believe my higher power is God. We don't. But so when I get in the way of their of them seeing what it is they need to see, I'm getting in the way, and I need to
Okay.
back off. So, but I do believe that alcoholism is a deadly disease. I see that people suffer not only emotional and spiritual problems, but they also suffer, and I do too. I suffer when I am totally focused on them. I suffer emotional and spiritual and physical problems, and the alcoholic does too. They will have severe physical problems if they continue.
And I've known individuals, we see studies and reports, the effects that alcohol has on your body after long-term use, the various organs that are affected. One of the organs mainly is your kidney. Your kidney has to filter, and your liver has to filter what you take into your body. And so if you're not feeding it good stuff, then it's not going to function properly, and it's going to eventually shut down on you to the point you may have to have one kidney removed or a liver transplant, or other more serious issues can occur. So
Ms. Kubula, what it says here in this one pamphlet that we have, it says that the alcoholic is the star of the play. He does all the acting, and others react to what he is doing. A male between the ages of 30 and 55, he is usually smart, skillful, and also successful in his words, but his goal may be far above his ability. We see him as sensitive, lonely, and tense. He is also immature in a way that produces a real dependence. However, he may act in an independent way in order to deny the fact. He also denies he is responsible for the results of his behavior. From this dependency and denial comes the name of this play. It's called a merry-go-round called denial. For him to act in this way, others must make it possible. That is why we must observe carefully what each actor does in the play. The alcoholic has learned that the use of alcohol makes him feel better. To him, it is a blessing, not a curse, his medicine, not a poison. For a few hours, it floats away his troubles. It melts away his fears and reduces his tension, removes his loneliness, and solves all his problems. And that is from the alcoholic mind, because he is taking what he needs to cope with the world. What we need to do for ourselves, we learn in Al-Anon, is that we need to take care of ourselves and let he or she or who, child, adult, whatever, we need to let them suffer their own consequences. Just because they have a crisis, that does not mean that we have a crisis. And to me, that is the maturity that comes from learning what we need to learn about ourselves in this program. And I did not realize that I was so immature when I came in. I was in the fixer mode. I was in the, we've got to take care of this. We've got to run out. I've got to throw something on this so it will not hurt. And I'm not just talking. My ulterior motives were, oh yes, I have to fix him first, or she, or whatever, or the child or the adult. But my underlying motive is, my insides are screaming, this is not acceptable. And why do they not see what they are doing to us?
yes.
And the reality of it is, it doesn't have anything to do with us. It is their disease. But when we rush in to fix, patch, call bosses, when we do all of the enabling, then we take away their right as a human being to suffer their own consequences.
And can I also add, the thing I also see as time has gone on is that it robs them of the joy of solving their own problems. And it robs me too of seeing them being able to solve this in a way that I never would have thought. I don't know everything, and I don't know the solution to everything, and it's just amazing to me. It's just amazing.
I was looking at this leaflet as you were talking, and one of the questions on "Are you troubled by someone's drinking?" is question number 4. Do you feel that if the drinker cared about you, he or she would stop drinking to please you? And I'm like, yes. You know, we all, I'm sure, if we're honest with ourselves, we feel like no matter what the behavior is, if they cared enough about me and the rest of the family or the co-workers or whatever, they will stop this behavior. But like you said, it has nothing to do with me. It's whatever they're dealing with at that moment. They're using that alcohol or other substance to suppress emotions, to patch up, put a Band-Aid on, whatever they are dealing with. So until they are absolutely ready to deal with that, the root of that issue, we can do all that we can on the outside, and nothing's going to change for them.
And I think this becomes really clear to us when we, or myself as working the Al-Anon program, I see how difficult it is to root out my own issues and to solve my own issues. And when I see that, I have a great deal of compassion for an alcoholic or drug addict. I see it's very difficult.
So do you all have many family members of the addict come to the group meetings with them?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it varies. It varies. Your first meeting is usually the hardest because we all felt, I felt like I was alone. I was the only one dealing with this horrible issue. I was hurt. I was lonely. I was afraid, and nobody else suffered like I did.
Okay.
And that to us in the program, we call that being a martyr, and we also call it being a victim.
Okay.
And what the program teaches us, it has taught me that I have choices.
Okay.
I do not have to fall into the trap of a disease that is cunning and baffling and powerful.
Okay. Now, I want to flip it a little bit while we have a few moments left.
Okay.
Now, in today's society, and not that it's anything new, but teenagers are becoming, I don't want to say addicted, but they're starting to abuse alcohol. They're finding new and creative ways to get their hands on alcohol or ingest it in ways that it won't necessarily show up on their breath, because that's one thing that also looking at this, one of these pamphlets, do you find yourself trying to smell the other person's breath? You will never know if they're finding other ways to ingest it. And I used to work for an agency working with young people, and we had to go to seminars, and we were always being updated on some of the latest things that teenagers were doing. I have friends who are teachers who have to go to continuing education courses, and they're, the things that I'm hearing are like, oh my gosh, teenagers are doing almost extreme things that I wouldn't have thought about even in my time in school. How can we, okay, I'm not going to say how can we help. What can we do? What are some advice you can give, when it comes to teenagers? Their life hasn't really gotten started. Well, according to us adults, their life hasn't really gotten started. So how can we reach out to them in a positive, effective way to hopefully deter them from heading down a long path of destruction?
My answer to that is when I become more mature and quit reacting to what is going on, which is what I learned in the Al-Anon program, that I do not have to, I can deal with a lot more stuff if I'm not out there acting crazy.
Okay.
And trying to fix.
Stop trying to fix. Okay.
Right, and causing more chaos, because I'm good at that too. okay, so a little thing's happening. Well, let's make it a big deal.
Okay.
You know, and so that
Screaming and hollering.
no communication going on there when they're screaming and hollering.
Physical violence. It never works out for any good. Calling the police. They've got enough problems of their own. And when I quit reacting and try to do constructive things for that person and for me, because I have to remember that most of my illness, most of my dis-ease comes from wanting anybody else, especially children, to feel good about themselves and not to need that substance. But in reality, when I look back at my childhood, I did whatever it took. I lied, I stole, whatever it took. Mom and Daddy were stupid. They didn't know anything. And that was, it's just a part of growing up.
Yes.
And by the grace of God, the ones of us that are supposed to grow up do.
That's right.
But it's only by the grace of our higher power.
And I see too, when I start seeing a problem, I cannot expect myself to handle all that by myself.
Okay.
And so my 20 years in here have been with the support of Al-Anon. I've called people after I called the police, people in Al-Anon to come be with me. It took a long time to stop creating the chaos. So, but they all stood beside me, and it helped me very much.
All right. What do you feel, based on your experience working with this program, what do you feel about those, like Scared Straight, those type of, people showing them videos of accidents that have happened, or, those try to scare somebody straight type things?
Kabila, I've never really, I don't know anything about that, so that would be, I really couldn't say.
Okay.
To me, when you're...
I think
we're out of time.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
What's the one question every parent should teach their child